Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mom Project's mPower Hour. I'm Elizabeth Shackelford, Senior Partner of PR and Social here at the Mom Project, and I am so excited to moderate today's discussion with two talented employees from Ferguson PLC. Stephanie Vega Ziegler, Director of Environmental Product Strategy, and Alyssa Buccero, Talent Program Manager of Inclusive Development. Today, we are going to get insight and an overview of Ferguson's mission and organization. We are going to talk about Ferguson's company culture and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and the importance of empowering and leading others, and how Ferguson supports career development and growth opportunities. A few housekeeping notes before we dive in. This session will be saved here on LinkedIn and over on our YouTube channel, available for rewatch at any time. And we will have time for audience questions at the end of our session. So please add any questions you may have for Stephanie and Alyssa into the comments throughout the session, and we will try to get to all of them at the end. Stephanie and Alyssa, we are so thrilled to have you both here today.
Thanks for having us.
Before we get into our conversation, we are going to watch a quick video about Ferguson PLC.
We're all builders. Every day we're laying the foundation for something. The question is, what are we building? The community of builders we serve is transforming the world we live in. We have the products they need and the tools to help them move faster. We're trusted partners with the scale to provide peace of mind. We help build homes, schools, hospitals, and communities. We bring water where people need it. We help keep people warm and safe. We bring structure to infrastructure. We work to improve our world. We can walk down any street and see the impact we have. We do things that make things better. Over nearly 70 years, we've grown from a local distributor to a $23 billion company with 30,000 associates across North America, touching almost every aspect of our customers' work. And we're honored to play our part. We build relationships, trust, and confidence. In a world that grows increasingly more complicated, we have the knowledge, expertise, and technology to structure projects for success. We build intelligently, sustainably, and profitably. Together with our customers, we help build the shape of things to come. We build the world we all want. We build the change we all need. Ferguson. Together, we build better.
Oh, loved that video.
I always get chills when I watch it.
I know, we've seen it like 100 times and it never fails. I always get goosebumps. I used to cry, so I don't cry anymore. It's still an amazing video nonetheless.
It's so powerful.
It is.
Well, before we get into your professional journeys, we're going to do just a quick round of questions to get to know you both better. So Stephanie, we will start with you and then we'll go to Alyssa, but tell us, are you both early birds or night owls?
I'm an early bird.
Yeah, definitely an early bird. My bedtime reminder goes off at 8 p.m. Yes, I not always asleep by 8 p.m. I'll caveat that, but I struggle staying up late. I really do. I try to hang, but I'm definitely an early bird. Is one of the most productive.
No, I feel that too. I'm the same way. What about the best book you've read or recently binge watched show?
Everything I've read really has to do with my day job. So all things environmental product related. So, and I can't just name one, there's so many. In terms of shows, anything on HBO Max. And then if I just want to like zone out, Modern Family and Friends on repeat, like I'm not mad about it.
I read a very small selection of books, and they're usually the self-help books, because like you, Stephanie, a lot of what I read is part of my day job. But write this one down because it's good. It's called Break Your Own Rules by Jill Flynn, Catherine Heath, and Mary Davis Holt. They're partners in Flynn Heath Holt Leadership Group. And this is just one of the books that I've read recently that has made my top favorite list. It's amazing. It goes in to talk about some of the faulty assumptions or those critical stories that as women we tend to tell ourselves that block our paths to power, right? And so what are some of those old rules or assumptions, and what are those new rules look like? How do we break them and really show up as our true authentic self so that we can kind of take our claim to fame, if you will.
Okay, I wrote it down. And thank you for bringing it with us and showing what the cover looks like.
Of course, it's beautiful. It's pink.
Okay, tell us your favorite productivity hack.
So for me, so I tend to say yes to a lot of things. So to keep me honest, well, first off, my associate, Emily Ann Walker, keeps me honest. She's like, well, do we really need to be focused on that? So she's my productivity hack. Shout out to her. But I try to color code my calendar just to quickly be able to see where I'm spending time. And if I need to do a bit of an adjust, I can quickly and easily with that visual.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I had a feeling our hacks would be similar because I know we've chatted about it once or twice. I live and breathe by my calendar. I learned very long time ago how to maximize the potential of that with rigorous prioritization and the color coding as well. If anyone's a Home Edit fan, shout out. I am a true believer of Roy G. Biv and rainbow everything. It keeps me sane, and I think I have a tendency to use the week prior to plan for the week ahead. So I'm constantly thinking about what's next, what do I need to do, what do I need to get ahead. So my Fridays, I block off time to plan for any big meetings that I have coming up, or if I need to move around some of the meetings that I have to fit in some other priorities at that time. I will always make it a point on a Friday to do that for the week ahead.
Oh, that's a good tip. Leave your Fridays open.
Yep.
And then at the Mom Project, we talk about our superpowers a lot, and we'd love to hear what your superpowers are.
I can go. So I consider my biculturalism a superpower. So I think it helps bring different perspective, and I think that's definitely helps with just innovative thinking outside of the box, and just bringing a different perspective into the conversation. And I've always been told that, my relationships, the ability to build them and maintain them has helped me tremendously over the last 17 years at Ferguson. So I'd have to call that one out too.
I think for me, it's my ability to be self-aware and to recognize, we have the power of choice. These are two areas that I've been personally working on pretty intensely for the last couple of years. Just a quick little background. I've had to overcome quite a few challenges just growing up. Both my parents passed away, being super vulnerable here. So there are a lot of challenges that come along with that. But being able to recognize that in tough times, which I'm sure all of us have encountered, it's been a crazy world out there the last few years, that it's important to stop and think about the path forward and your abilities. If you have the ability to do great things, that's wonderful. But what are your abilities if you're not choosing to use your abilities and what you do with them? Everyone has so much potential, and we have to take action in what we believe in and stand up for what we believe is right. I am a firm believer of we are better together. All of us, there are things that I don't necessarily agree with, and I open that and welcome that with an opportunity for discussion and education. And I think that's such a beautiful perspective to have, because this journey of life that we are all on together is just, you make it what it is. If you're not happy, then we do something about it. Easier said than done in some cases, but you have the power to change the way you're thinking and what you do with that life. So I stand pretty firmly behind that.
We're like just 10 minutes in and you're getting so vulnerable. I love it so much. This is going to be, we haven't even gotten into the full meat of the conversation yet. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I think that's really something really helpful to think about, especially like if you're not happy, you have the power to change that. Well, let's dive in to your backgrounds. We'd love to hear about your career journey and, where did your career begin? And then how did you get to where you are today? Stephanie, let's start with you.
Sure. So my career started at Ferguson back in 2006. So Ferguson recruited heavily in the Big 12 schools. I went to the University of Texas. So, one of the things that I heard during a recruitment event that really, really resonated with me was that this is not a job, it's a career. And we will not only get you on the bus, we'll make sure that you're in the right seat. So that call it whatever it is, but it really, really, really resonated with me. And it has been a testament to my career journey, and it's held true. So started as a sales management trainee in Austin, Texas, in our showroom. So working with our builder customers, picking out all the shiny things in front of the wall, not behind the wall. So you heard in the video, we are just shy of being a $30 billion company, servicing customers across both residential, commercial, all the way to industrial property owners, trade contractors, builders, general contractors. That's who we call on and who we serve day in and day out. So I was on the builder side of the business. And after that, I spent a couple of years abroad in Europe, working with our then mother company, Wolseley. I was part of a leadership program for a couple of years, a year in London, a year in Dublin. And I was happy to get back to Ferguson because all that was during the Great Recession. So Ferguson was doing relatively well compared to our subsidiaries overseas. And I spent some time with our training department, category management. So with the work that we do at Ferguson, our vendor partners are a big piece of what we do to distribute the products that we bring into market day in and day out. So critical cog, learned a bunch of awesome things and skill set within that group. And then life happened. And so HQ3 for Ferguson, we're based in Newport News, Virginia. And down the road is Norfolk Naval Station. So, lo and behold, I meet a sailor with the largest naval base right behind us. So yeah, he got orders to Colorado, and I had to make a change. And so I thought I was sunk. We were still running on pretty slim crews of the branches, over 1,400 branches across the country. And my then boss, Robin Hilton, in category management, kind of sent out a little bit of a mayday, like, hey, I've got an associate moving out west, and it's just a testament to your personal connections, your network. And she was that olive branch for me to make that connection. And I got pulled into the business, working on the e-business side of things, so helping our customers buy digitally or transacting system to system, so that we could really streamline their procurement efforts. So did that for a little while out west. And then another personal move happened. My husband got orders to back to Virginia. And we were looking to make a change with how we structured the business development group for e-business. And my territory back out west was, part of it was Las Vegas. So it was calling on hospitality customers quite a bit. So they asked if, hey, I'd be willing to kind of go into uncharted territory and, work in a slightly different capacity within the same role, but just focused on one customer segment. And so I was wholeheartedly, it was a win-win-win. We were moving back. It just all made sense. So I learned that customer group from the ground up. And that was a lot of fun. Towards the end of that, once I did that role nationally, we stood up a corporate venturing capability at Ferguson, which just means that we were putting off-balance capital off balance sheet capital to work in the startup community. So we were looking at startups that might help accelerate our strategic imperatives as an organization. So anything that might help the contractor be more efficient, anything that might help us transact digitally more seamlessly with our customers. And so help stand that practice up. And then towards the end of that, we stood up an environmental investment thesis, which was all about looking at startups that had a play in reducing water or energy consumption. And so when this role came about, my current role as Director of Environmental Product Strategy, I was asked to put my name in the hat, and all the synergies. You don't think about it in the moment, but as you're going through the various different roles, at least within my career, it's been quite a building block situation for me. Everything has helped me build into the next role. So, and actually about 3 years ago, that's when I actually started working more closely with Alyssa when we stood up our women's business resource group, mPower, here at Ferguson. And so we were part of the founding leadership team, and I got to work with Alyssa more closely then. And it's awesome the kinds of things that you can, in terms of networking and just relationships you can build when you join organizations like that. Kate Bailey was our founding chair for mPower, and I work with her day in and day out now in my day job. So that's a little bit about me the last 17 years.
Well, it's such a testament to your superpower of like making connections, and you never know where it's going to lead you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, Steph, you didn't tell your joke about how you started when you were 10.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I like to say that. It makes me feel better inside.
So I am celebrating 9 years with Ferguson tomorrow. Actually, I thought my anniversary was next week, but it's tomorrow. I was reminded, which is crazy to believe that it's been 9 years. And Steph, even when you just said 3 years from mPower, I was like, oh my gosh, has it been that long already? Time flies when you're having fun, though. So I have only ever worked with Ferguson, so I definitely drank the blue Kool-Aid, and I've been here to stay, as we say here. But I graduated from Kansas State University, and I was a marketing major, which is really where I initially heard about Ferguson. I had a recruiter come to one of my classes, and they told us all about the company, the family culture, that kind of feel. And I said, okay, that's really great. But I was just entranced by this recruiter because I saw so much of myself in her, and I'm very big on that culture, that connection, the relationship pieces of it. And so I knew that if this woman could stand up in front of 40 college students and talk about selling toilets and shiny things and pipes that you never see again under the ground, that, man, there must be something that she really loves about this company. So let me look a little bit more into it. So that was my junior year, and I was sold. I dropped the only other company that I was interviewing with at the end of my junior year to put my eggs in all in one basket. I don't recommend that. Please don't do that. It's not a safe bet, but I did, and it worked. And I was very, very grateful to get the job offer with Ferguson as my senior year was approaching. So I locked it down pretty quickly, but I too started as a sales trainee on the showroom side of our business. And then a recruiting opportunity became available. And if you remember the story that I literally just told, I was all over it. So I was actually very close with one of our leaders in my Kansas City branch. His name is James Reed. I still like to contribute the success to him. He was my super connector. He connected me with Allison Stirrup, who is now our vice president of human resource business partners. And she too is very much helped shape who I am today and put me on the path on where I am. So when that recruiting opportunity came about at the time, Ferguson required you to work out of headquarters for at least 2 years. And I said, okay, let me think about this. Do I really want to move halfway across the country? I've been landlocked for 20-something years of my life. At that point, I'd never seen the ocean, never been to Disney. I realized how crazy that sounds. But, I said, you do it. I didn't want to turn down that opportunity, not just to work at corporate Ferguson, right? It was something that I really thought about. Again, that recruiter that sold me on the company, and I knew that I had the sales background. Recruiting was still sales to me, but I got to talk about something that I loved, not just what I did as a recruiter, but the company that I loved so much. And that was phenomenal. I had 29 states under my belt at one time. I traveled from Maine to Washington State, down to Colorado, to different college campuses. I did experienced recruiting for a short stint as well. And then we had some restructure in HR in the way that we kind of operate in terms of execution and strategy and business partnership. And so after about 4.5 years in recruiting, my previous leader, Jen Ward, shout out, who is now part of our Talent Center of Excellence here at Ferguson, she saw something in me that would be valuable to a position that didn't exist before. And I think that was really my jumpstart of figuring out what it is I wanted to do when I grow up, which I realize makes no sense. How can you know what you want to do when you grow up if you're going to do something that's never even existed, right? So for me, we had this new department, this Talent Center of Excellence, where we partner with our business, our execution and HR ops to deliver the strategy, people strategy for the organization. But I was hired on as a marketing and kind of communications program manager, right? Marketing degree made sense. Let's do it. And so I got to spread the word about Talent COE, what we did, how we were connecting business to the strategy and the value that it had. That was a very quick stint, and I transitioned into more of a project management role under Haley Edwards, who is now our senior manager of our training group. And again, phenomenal. She taught me everything I know about project management and Excel spreadsheets, whether I love them or hate them, neither here nor there. And then from there, transitioned over to the learning and development side of our Center of Excellence. And again, keep in mind, I had no background in learning and development, but I knew that I could figure it out. And I say all of that to really bring to the forefront that I've been very, lucky, for lack of better words, to have leaders who have identified my strengths and skill sets that would contribute to roles that maybe necessarily didn't exist prior. And so today, when you ask me what I want to be when I grow up, I tell you that I want to be something that's going to be of value, to create something that doesn't exist for the organization or for somebody, right? To make a positive impact, to bring joy to someone's face every day. And so to all of my leaders, I'm sure we'll get here in a moment on how we pay it forward and who's inspired us. But, to all of the leaders that I've had today, thank you for everything that you've done and everything that you've seen in me to get me where I am today. So I've had a long future career in HR, so I'm excited to see what's next.
Well, your passion, both of you, your passion for Ferguson and your tenures at Ferguson really speak to the organization and how it develops and grows its leaders.
Yeah.
For those in the audience that don't know, Stephanie, can you just tell us a bit more about Ferguson?
Yeah, so like I said, we serve 9 different customer groups ranging from residential, commercial, industrial, waterworks. So the kinds of customers that we serve within those customer segments would be municipalities, would be general contractors, would be residential builders, plumbing and HVAC contractors, commercial mechanical contractors. We have a division around fire and fabrication, so the folks that put in the fire sprinklers in new commercial buildings. So that's definitely the customers that we serve. And we also have a digital group where we sell directly to the homeowner through Build with Ferguson and Power Equipment Direct. So a lot of folks don't realize that those are Ferguson assets as well. Yeah, so we are just shy of being a $30 billion company. So You hear the stories around or the story that Alyssa just told about, her background, certainly my background. You would never think about these different kinds of jobs that exist within Ferguson PLC. But yeah, over 30,000 associates is the number that we're at.
Wow. And Alyssa, can you tell us more about Ferguson's mission?
Well, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with what Stephanie said. We exist as a project success company, so we do what we can to make our customers' projects successful, streamline, and at the heart of everything are our associates. Without good people, right? How do you serve your customers in a way that's truly meaningful and intentional? So that's the part that I enjoy so much being in HR, is the people side.
Yeah, and getting the right people on the bus in the right seat.
That's right.
Yeah. Our subject matter expertise within all of these customer groups that we serve, it's amazing every single time I see it in action. So,
well, and that is a perfect segue to really talk about how Ferguson is empowering its leaders and its employees, and so let's dive into that a little bit. But first of all, tell us about who has inspired. I know you kind of gave lots of shout outs during the career journeys, but we'd love to hear more about those who have inspired you throughout your career and who has really helped you achieve your personal and professional goals throughout the journey.
Yeah, I can lead us off. So I've been really fortunate to have servant leaders as the folks that I reported into over the years. So two big names come to mind. Craig Bryant, who passed probably 5-6 years ago. He really introduced me to the concept of servant leadership, and working with him, it was about making heroes, not being the hero. And certainly Blake Luce, who is our senior director for strategic development and planning. I've worked with him directly, probably over 11 years. So really grew up in the organization together, and he really took a lot of what Craig kind of instilled in us. We both reported to Craig at one time, and just really took it to the next level. Always giving me the space to develop personally and professionally, making sure that he saw it as an intentional thing that he put out to the team that he led. So I was always forever grateful to have that. Different parts of my journey, 17 years, you think about, I talked about Robin Hilton, early on, Audrey Clegg, who is no longer with the organization, but, she really helped me find my voice with presentation skills, making sure that she was like, you might be shaking in your boots, but your voice doesn't give you away. Lean into that. No one in this room knows more about XYZ subject more than you do. So lean into that. So just kind of giving me that encouragement really helped my confidence really early on in my career. Laura Kozart, Tammy Hilly, Kristen Hogan, they were all part of the e-business development team, back in early 2010-ish. And we were really, there wasn't many women in industry and doing what we were doing, doing the kind of work that we were doing. And we just leaned on each other a bunch, and we would be intentional about putting time on the calendar to talk through challenges, help encourage and build confidence within each of us. Like I said, Kate Bailey was huge for me with mPower when we got to work, when we stood up the Women's Business Resource Group at Ferguson. Just an incredible leader, incredibly articulate. She always has the right words. I don't know how she does it. And so she inspires me. Working in my role now, where my mission is to encourage the adoption of sustainable products and solutions into the marketplace. I work really closely with our VP of BSG, Denise Vaughn. I don't know how she does it. She's just always on, reads every single email, and just is just tremendous. Her work ethic is beyond. So I certainly strive to be able to emulate that in the work that I do. And there's so many others that just So many amazing leaders at Ferguson that just have always given me the space to really grow professionally, giving that candid feedback. It's hard to give feedback. So if someone's giving it to you, it's a gift in my view. And it's just what you do with that and how you reframe that to make it work. So that's a little bit about who I think has inspired me over the years.
The thing I actually wrote down was making heroes and not being the hero, which I think is so, I mean, it just really, I think, says a lot about how you've gone into your career and what you're trying to develop. But, and then also feedback is a gift.
Yeah.
Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I could echo a lot of the same names that Stephanie did. And I know I gave a bunch of shout outs already, so I'll do my best not to duplicate. But I think maybe I'll take this more from a personal standpoint, because it's very much about the people you have behind you on the personal side that helps get through your professional life too, right? So, I mentioned both of my parents have passed away. I lost my mom in 2015, my dad in 2012. So what you could say are pretty pivotal moments in my life. And so, that really forced me to kind of step back and really understand what my values are and hold firm to them. So, right. So my faith, my friends, my family. Gail White, she is Ferguson's relocation specialist. She actually moved me here from Kansas City. It was a great experience. A funny story is when I joined Ferguson in recruiting, Gail moved me here. My office was right next to her. And for those of you who are on the call that work for Ferguson and you know Gail White, you will understand when I say she loves to chat. I love to chat too. And she is one of the most amazing women like myself, grew from humble beginnings and just has worked so hard to get to where she is today. And she has quickly become what I call my bonus mom. So you hear that term come around. We have family dinners on Sunday nights. She is very much my family, even though she's not my blood. So she has continued to inspire me, push me. I get emotional talking about her because I know she knows that I can't do it without her. I know. I always say it's not good if I don't cry, and it's really becoming something that is like serious with me. But no, really, she is my backbone. She encourages me to keep going. I go back to that power of choice. When you think you have the moment in time where you can just, you don't want to go on, or you have to pick between different paths. It's so important to have those people in your corner to keep rooting, to keep pushing you through. So Gail knows all this. I'll stop talking about her. But I think too, she knows this, but Stephanie's played a big role in this as well. This initially I wasn't part of this opportunity, and I think in conversation, with you, Elizabeth, that she mentioned my name. And this is one of the things that we talk about here at Ferguson is having allies, advocates, sponsors, people who can speak up for you when you're not in a room. And Stephanie is that. I mean, you talk about a super connector. She may not know everybody, but she knows someone who knows someone that knows something about what you need to know. So she is a good person to have in your network. So thank you, Stephanie, and Kate Bailey as well with mPower. She has been a big inspiration. I will tell you that woman, she is not afraid to speak what is on her mind, and that has inspired me to do the same. Because again, like I said, if you've got good ideas, why aren't we sharing them? Even if they're crazy, even if they're wild, it could be the next best thing.
You almost made me cry there. I wanted to jump in and say, Alyssa, I've got your back.
I teared up too. I think everybody else is too. So you're not the only one.
Thank you. Yeah. So no, I think, where I'm at in my role today with inclusive development, again, going back to allies and advocates, I've been blessed to have some of the best leaders I think I've ever had in my career, who just really, they encourage you to stop and really intentionally take a look again at your values, what you believe in, the meaningful work that you're doing. Because again, you have the choice to do meaningful work, and positioning me in front of our stakeholders where it matters, right? We talk about exposure, especially as women. How do we get the work known? Who do we need to connect with? Who is going to be that next person that talks about the work that you're doing when you're not in a room? So my previous leader, Brad Barnes, my current leader, Jason Powers, Director of Learning and Development, both under the humble leadership of Heather Parks over our talent COE. They've really inspired not just myself, but I think I could speak for our entire team and talent, that the way that they lead is very intentional in helping us get to where we want to be and understanding the different skills that we should be considering that maybe we haven't considered before. So big shout out to them. They truly have helped me to kind of achieve where I'm at professionally, for sure.
Well, again, such a testament to Ferguson, because I think all of these stories are just, you wouldn't have met these people otherwise, and they lift you up personally and professionally, and it truly is such an inspiration. And I see so many comments, like my colleagues chiming in, most of whom I haven't even met in person, but I think it truly takes a village. And at work too, you need those people in your corner to be behind you every step of the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Well, and Alyssa, on the flip side, can you talk to us a little bit about how Ferguson and what you do are empowering future leaders and growing people in your organization?
Yeah, of course. This right now, this is my passion, and I left these groups off intentionally because I knew I'd get to this point on people who inspire you. So for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been on a mission to create leadership development programs for people from historically underserved groups. So we put our focus today on people of color and women in leadership. And these programs, all the time, they hold a very special place in my heart. Again, something that I'm very passionate about. I work very closely with Erica Barnes and Jasmine Washington in our corporate inclusion and diversity office to build these programs that are so intentional for these group of leaders. We're taking our high performing leaders, those who we're looking to be our next senior leaders. We're analyzing the different skills that they have today, maybe skills where we see some gaps for critical roles in leadership, and we're building those into the program so that we can help position them to be better leaders in their role today and also in the future. And then I think the most beautiful part about these programs is while we talk about everyday general leadership topics like delegation and time management and strategic thinking, we apply the lens of a person of color or a female going through these programs and dealing with these kinds of topics. So we create these programs intentionally with a space that allows them to be vulnerable and allows them to be brave and have conversations that maybe we haven't been so comfortable having in the past. And again, I think that's a very beautiful thing about our business resource groups as well. Stephanie mentioned mPower. I'll talk about the other ones a bit later. But these spaces are such an amazing opportunity to bring leaders and just associates from all across the company who have shared even different experiences together, to learn together, to grow together. And just really overall be successful, achieve their goals, and moreover leave with a network of other associates that they may not have had exposure to otherwise. Like Stephanie said, it's been 3 years since I met her in mPower, and she and I have even a friendship outside of work professionally. So it's amazing what some of these opportunities can really lead to.
Well, and Stephanie, what about you? How do you pay it forward in terms of leadership and inspiring others?
Yeah, so I was fortunate to be part of one of the Women in Leadership programs that Alyssa just alluded to, Ignite, and she can tell you more details about that. But one of the big things was, how do we take what we learned in that professional development session, right, where we had 2 full days of immersion, talking about, making heroes, talking about leading through uncertainty, like stress test decision making. And how do you bring that back to the work that you do day in and day out, and then share it with anyone who'll listen? But so folks came up with action plans to get this information out in front of their teams. So for me, it's really about mentorship. So making sure that, that's putting your money where your mouth is, really, right? Because that's your time that you're taking and investing in others. So, I have probably about 4 different mentees now. Over the last year and a half, I've had about 7. And really, it's about setting a safe place, a brave space for that person to really bring, what they are looking to develop around, like what needs that they have, and then figuring out how we can come up with a bit of an action plan around how they can go, get after whatever that might be. And my big thing with that is it's on the mentee to bring that information to the table, set the agenda, so that the mentor has, insights to share during that time, and really maximizing that time. And then if you time box those mentorships, you get to talk to more people, right? So the whole point of mentorship is establishing a relationship. Once that's established, you don't need to have that like systematic 1 hour a month situation, right? Like, you now have that person forever that's going to be in your corner, going to advocate for you. We'll say your name in a situation where it makes sense based off of the skill set that you have. And so I think that's a big thing as leaders. Making sure that, you set that expectation when you go into a mentorship situation where you as the mentee bring the agenda, I bring, my insights, and hope to be able to add value to you as a person. And then really, I'd say, like I said, just make heroes, like, for people. As you meet folks, you understand what their skill sets are. You don't need a formal mentorship to be someone's advocate. So I think that's how I pay it forward.
You both would be excellent mentors for our Rally mentorship and mentee program. I love that. I love the idea of setting an agenda. And I think that's something, like, that's a really nice framework for knowing, especially as a mentee coming in, like, not knowing really what to talk about. But if you have the agenda, then
yeah. Well, no, I put it on the mentee to set
the mentee brings the agenda.
Yeah, because I'm not a mind reader, so I need to understand, like, what you hope to get out of the engagement, what you hope to continue to grow and develop, what goals you might have. And that really helps me to be able to bring those insights to the conversation. And, oh, by the way, it gets rid of that, like, awkward, like, situation of like, okay, like, so what do I ask you? It's like a realtor who just tries to sell you a house without, like, asking any questions around, like, what it is that you need. Yeah. So I put that on the mentee.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really great takeaway. Right. I wrote that down too. Alyssa, you've talked about your career journey. You've been in sales and now HR, with an early focus in recruitment, and now focusing on inclusive development. Talk to us more about the family benefits at Ferguson.
Okay, I will do so at a very high level. If there are any additional dig deep questions, happy to take those back to our amazing team in benefits. But this is actually, too, I think, a testament to where we've come and where we are today as a company in just the last several years, how our offerings have expanded. But again, at a high level, we have spousal and domestic partner benefits that are inclusive of LGBTQ plus associates and their partners. This includes, adoption benefits, cryopreservation or egg freezing, surrogacy and infertility treatment coverage, FMLA and FMLA-like benefits, bereavement leave, employer provided supplemental life insurance, and so much more, just to name a few. But Ferguson is really there to support all associates through the various phases of life. So whether that is fertility, it may be mental health and well-being, there's a benefit for that. And the best part is our work is not done. So we also offer, a variety of paid time off benefits for both full and part-time associates. And then a lot of this work too is being driven by our Ferguson BRGs, or our business resource groups. Not all of it, but a lot of it has been a big thanks and a huge success to our Ferguson business partner, or our Ferguson business resource groups, and in partnership with our business as well. So, like I said, our work is not done.
Well, and then can you talk a bit more about Ferguson's inclusive practices within the company?
Sure. Yeah. Again, the beautiful thing about inclusion and diversity is it's a continuous journey, right? We're all learning together, and if it stopped, then we wouldn't be inclusive. So, we're really committed to developing a diverse workforce and inclusive working environment, really everywhere that Ferguson has a presence. So we encourage all Ferguson associates to reach their full potential while, I said this early, being their true, authentic selves. It's so important to be able to come to work and show up and have conversations where you feel like you are in a safe and in a brave space. So, I mentioned our 5 business resource groups, LEAD, which is our Black BRG. We have mPower, which is our women's BRG, Building Pride, the LGBTQ plus BRG, Valor, the Veterans BRG, and HOLA, the Hispanic and Latina American BRG, which Stephanie is actually the chair of, and that is our newest BRG. So I can't wait to see what they get to tackle with. BRGs are open to all of our associates, so they provide, that space for community members to connect and build that community, that sense of belonging. They provide a space for allies to really learn and grow. But moreover, BRGs are really working to create positive impact. So within our organization, one example, our mPower BRG, we did some work to provide personal hygiene products in all Ferguson locations. So that was a big win for mPower. But then also, again, within our surrounding communities as well. So one of the most recent events I actually attended was with our Valor BRG. It was a pack event with Troopster, so packing care packages for troops who are and their families who are stationed overseas. So that was a lot of fun. And Building Pride. Oh man, we had our first Hampton Roads Pride Fest last year. It was a blast. Lee did some work with Habitat for Humanity and the home builds across the U.S. So we're very active in our communities as well as within Ferguson as well. And then I think another thing that's worth mentioning too is the training. Again, just because it's a special part of my heart and my day that I do, my work that I do every day, is providing training and support to the recruitment and retention of people from historically underrepresented groups as well.
Yeah, and I love that the BRGs it's really a platform and a place for issues that matter to that particular community within Ferguson. Like it's a landing spot for those issues to land, so that we can figure out, okay, how do we potentially address this, create a business case around it if necessary, and really help raise the issue to our senior leadership so that they can do something about it. And so in the thought process is it's a landing spot, but then how do we institutionalize whatever it is, solution that we came up with based off of the issue at hand?
No, absolutely. And we at the Mom Project feel the exact same way. And Work Labs, our research and insights division, did a recent study that, said that nearly 2/3 of employees indicated that ERGs or BRGs in your case, contribute to creating an inclusive culture. And I think everything that you just talked about speaks to that. And then we have some at the Mom Project, we call them Ohana groups. But so yeah, it's the same thing. And it really just, even in this remote culture that the Mom Project is in, it really fosters a community virtually, but it sounds like you all do stuff in person too, which is so amazing.
Yeah. And actually we launched our BRGs in the midst of COVID. So you got to think about you would have thought that it would have been backwards in the sense that it ended up being an amazing thing because everyone was isolating, everyone was like working from home, like, and then you had this opportunity to engage with associates from across the country in different markets you might have never met or networked with, and the BRDs helped do that. It was an amazing experience being in the seat at the time with mPower. And just the energy that we got and the engagement was surprising, but it makes sense, right? Everyone was at home isolating, so they were able to connect with people virtually.
Everyone is still seeking that connection, and virtually or in person, it doesn't matter. Like everyone still needs it, now that we're past COVID. But yeah, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Bill, surprisingly, this conversation has gone so fast. We have about 10 minutes left. We do have time for a Q&A. So if there are any questions that the audience may have, please pop them into the chat. And we're going to segue just a bit, but at the Mom Project, we talk a lot about balance and how you don't find balance, you create it. So can you both share a bit about how you manage balance in your lives? Alyssa, we'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah, and I like to use the term work-life integration because I don't know that there's ever truly balance.
No, there's not.
you do. You're right. You have to create it. You have to figure out what that looks like for you at that specific moment in time, right? Because every chapter of life is a little bit different. I'm not a mom to human beings. I am a mother to two very adorable, needy fur babies, Scarlett and Bailey, but they're another conversation for another day. But for me, figuring out the whole work-life integration piece is rigorous prioritization. I think I alluded to it earlier. I swear by my calendar. If it is not on my calendar, it is not happening. I stay organized that way, but again, I alluded to this as well. It's just understanding what my values are and more importantly, sticking to them, because I think that's where we get caught up in a lot of this is, oh, I can sacrifice this for a 10-minute chat with so-and-so so I can get ahead, right? At the end of the day, if that's not going to bring you joy or it's going to sacrifice how you are in your personal life, that's not worth it, in my opinion. So it's sticking to your values, being true to them, understanding what truly matters to you and how you can help others along the way.
Absolutely. I think about that a lot. I have to, find it and what things mean to me and how I can, say no to something. Right. Stephanie, what about you?
So I always think when I hear this question and people ask me, it's like, I just throw my hands up and be like, it's an illusion. It's an illusion, like a duck in water. Or at least that's my take on it. It is a struggle for me. I struggle with that a lot. So I think to Alyssa's point, like, understanding what's important to you and prioritizing that will help you figure out like how to find and create this balance. When I took on my role as director of environmental product strategy, my husband was at a point where, his career was beginning to wind down with the Navy. He's set to retire officially in August. And so, his responsibility was winding down while mine was winding up. And so we had to have that conversation on like, hey, you're going to have to put Austin on the bus in the morning, right? You're going to have to help me get him off the bus. And it wasn't that he didn't want to do that. It's just I had to articulate that to him that I need this from you. So that's helped tremendously in just making sure that, we were aligned on expectations there on the home front. But he's taken on a lot more responsibility at home. So that certainly has helped. And I make time for self-care. Like that's how I, just make sure that I take care of myself mentally and physically. So I try to get a workout in every day, just some sort of sweat session. Either I'm a big Peloton fanatic, so I'll get on the bike, I'll do a strength session. And I love hot yoga. So I try to do that on the weekends in between baseball games. But yeah, you have to protect the calendar, to Alyssa's point. And I'm a big yes person. I just want to make everything work and I want to make sure people have their needs met. And so it's a struggle for me. So it's something that I have to be intentional about. And it's a day-to-day, like reminding myself what's important, what do I need to prioritize, so that I can create this illusion of balance. I call it an illusion. That's my story. I said what I said. I'm sticking to it.
Some semblance of balance at any point.
Semblance of balance, yes.
Yes. Nope. I wholeheartedly agree. And I appreciate you being candid that it is hard to do, because it is. I think everyone is always like, people make it look so easy, but it's not. It's just hard. Okay. We do have a question, which I saw come through, which I'm excited to hear both of your answers. How do you balance leading with empathy and compassion while also maintaining accountability and driving results? Alyssa, we'll start with you.
It's not easy. So this is, I mentioned earlier that I'm a stickler for what I believe in, and I'll stand by it. And whether I agree with something or disagree with something, I will always voice my opinion on it. But I will do that in a humble manner and approach it as a growth opportunity. So if there's something that, we are choosing to do as an organization, or again, maybe my friends or my family are choosing to partake in that I don't agree with, I will take initiative to sit down with them and have a conversation, just to say, hey, for my understanding, why are we doing this? Or why do you want to do this? This is what I believe in, or this is what I've researched, etc. What is it about this specific topic that we are not able to move forward, or, whatever the instance may be. And so I have that conversation because, again, this goes back to promoting diversity of thought and really understanding where everyone's coming from, because we all have brilliant ideas. But at the end of the day, when you think about what you do and what you're accountable for and driving results on an organizational level, it's about our customers. It is about very much about our customers, who we're serving, the business that we're in, but also serving our people as well. Like I said, we have happy associates, happy customers. And so there has to be a balance. But in order to drive that accountability and drive those results, you have to have a sense of empathy and compassion, because along that journey, you will interact with so many different people, again, that have great ideas, who may challenge your thoughts or your assumptions. And you have to be open to having those discussions to really be able to learn and grow, which ultimately is going to get you to that end result that you're looking for.
I'd have to say, totally agree with and echo Alyssa's sentiment. I think you got to set the expectations up front, right? So if you're coming into, whether it's you're leading a team or you're starting a new project, setting the expectation at the front end of the project is a lot easier than trying to rectify all of that on the back end. So that would be my approach, because if you set expectations, you called out where the bar was set, it's easier to lead with empathy and compassion once you know that those folks knew what was the call to action, knew what the desired outcome was in that particular engagement. And I just think it makes the conversation a lot easier for the leader. And then just knowing, and Alyssa and I attended an event with the American Supply Association, Women in Industry, a couple of months ago. And one of the things that one of the speakers shared was around just knowing that people are just doing their best, and just starting your mindset with people are just trying their best. They are doing their best. And it takes a lot of just weight off of your shoulders. Just, I don't know, it's the whole setting of expectations, but people generally are trying their best.
Yes. We talked about that at the Mom Project. Everybody is coming from a good place.
Yeah.
No one comes into work I'm going to really mess things. No one is coming into work thinking that. So it's take everything knowing that they're coming from a good place.
Yeah.
You don't know the struggles or the situations at home, and so to be a leader that can recognize that up front and take that into consideration. If maybe we aren't meeting the bar, and just saying, hey, how can I support you? Man, it goes so far.
It makes all the difference. And that's leading with empathy.
That's right.
There have been so many amazing takeaways. I'm going to buy that book, Break Your Own Rules. Making heroes, not being the hero. Feedback is a gift is something that I'm taking with me. Setting your agenda as the mentee. And then, setting expectations at the top, I think is such a important reminder and something that's learned. I feel like you don't know. Sometimes you just go into something thinking that everyone already knows it, but really they don't. So set your expectations beforehand. And then also, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me today is leading with empathy. And I know this session was this session was about empowering leaders and leadership, but I think the takeaway here is everyone's coming from a good place. Well, thank you both so much for being here today. We've all learned so much. I've seen so many Ferguson colleagues in the chat. So thank you to everyone who's joined us today. This has been such an important session. We've gotten to learn so much about your organization and your career journeys and how long you've been at the organization. It's just so impressive. So thank you both for being here. To all who attended, we hope you learned something that you can take with you on your career journey. And we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everyone.